Welcome, welcome everyone. We're just gonna wait a few more minute or two to see more participants to come in. Alrighty, thank you. I apologize, I was supposed to have music, but I have an earplug in and I think with the AirPod, like I can't play the music, so I apologize. I'll wait one more minute to make sure everyone's, doesn't miss any important information. But thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I'm excited for today. And if there's any questions or comments about anything, you can send them to the Q&A or the comment section or the chat box. I'll go straight to the panelists. Alrighty, I'll start the webinar. So thank you for coming and welcome to How to Run for AS Office. I appreciate everyone's interest in this, and I'm the chair of elections and my name's Evelyn. And
hi everyone, my name is Rima Hawk and I'm the assistant chair of elections.
Alrighty.
Okay, so we start with what is Associated Students? So as quoted from the AS Constitution, Associated Students is the primary advocate for students at California State University Northridge, or csun, and provides excellent, meaningful programs and services designed to create and enhance a spirited, learning-focused campus environment. And so you might recognize some hosted events of AS such as Big Bash or Big Politics. That is one of the events that we host, and that's actually specifically hosted by AS Productions. So Associated Students has different branches, some of them being AS Productions, AS Marketing, AS Sustainability Center. Elections is primarily focused on AS leadership. And in AS leadership, you have the opportunity to advocate for your students, whether it be in your specific college that you might be a senator in, or advocating for the student body population. And you can advocate on many different issues and concerns and do many things such as draft bills and resolutions. We will get into the specifics of what you can also do as a student leader. And Evelyn will now cover the qualifications and yeah.
Alrighty, so what are the positions that you can run for? So the positions are president and vice president, and then there's 2 senators for each college, and then 2 senators for lower division senate, and then upper division senate, and then 2 senators for graduate degrees. So the basic academic qualifications for this is to have earned a minimum 2.5 undergraduate GPA or 3.0 for a graduate GPA in the semester prior to the election or appointment. Each candidate or application for these positions at the time filling must also have a minimum cumulative tongue twister, GPA 2.5 for undergraduates and the same 3.0 for graduates. So and then throughout the entire term period, which is a year long, it needs to be a 2.5 GPA, and candidates and incumbents shall not be on disciplinary probation. So part 2. So there's specific qualifications for each position, and for president, it needs to be that a student must have completed at least 60 units of college work, including 6 units for undergraduate or 3 units for graduate students at CSUN specifically before taking office. And then some of the powers that a president has is that they're executive chief of the corporation, and the corporation is the entire Associated Students as a whole. So you could possibly be the executive chief executive for Associated Students. And they also have the privilege to appoint any senators when there's any vacancies. They are able to create their cabinet, but Senate has to approve all appointments that the president makes. So they're also able to introduce legislation, and they also have a big part of the Associated Students budget. They advise and assist the director of finance and the finance committee, and prescribe to the laws within the finance code. So vice president has to have, so the qualifications to be able to run is to at least have completed 45 units before taking office. And then some of the powers that the vice president has is that if there was an absence in the president, then the vice president shall preside over the Senate and have authority to call meetings and just kind of go about with the Senate meetings. And the Senate meetings are every Monday at 5 p.m. Not 5 p.m. at 9 a.m. So every Senate Monday morning, you'll be there. So that's also really important to note. You would be able to have to be there Monday morning from 9 to 12-ish, around that time frame. Alrighty, for part 3. So for Senate, so there's qualifications that are different for each. And the first one is for graduate division senator. In order to seek election for the office of graduate division, a student must have a bachelor degree and must be part of a graduate program at CSUN. Lower division, in order to seek election for the office of lower division, a student must have completed the enrollment requirements for lower division students as defined by the university catalog. And then for upper division, it's the same thing, but they would have to have completed all the requirements for upper division students. And you can find that all under the CSUN catalog. And if you have any questions about that, you can always email me. And then for academics college senator, in order to seek for the office of Senate of an academic college, so it means any kind of, there's different colleges within CSUN. There's behavioral science, there's many different ones. And to be able to seek any of those elections is that you have to have at least 24 units of college work completed, and 9 of those have to be within the college that you are planning on running with. And some of the power that Senate has is to make a point, they kind of go about the funds and the code of the finance. They approve recommendations, and the finance committee include annual budgets by the majority vote. And they also alter the recommendations of the finance committee and including the annual budget. And they also, the biggest and important part of Senate is that they draft and amend the associate student codes. And they also could create like legislative referrals, and they can make a big difference within associated students. And they also have an impact on the chapter campus clubs and organization. And they also create like Senate committees. They can dissolve them or create new ones. And yeah, except for the finance committee and judicial court, they wouldn't have the power to dissolve those committees.
All right, so what is a slate? So when a slate is a party you can run under when running for elections, and you will be with other candidates such as the president, VP, and senators whom you choose to make a party with. And similar to national elections, you can identify with a party or as an independent when running. So Again, it's similar to national elections when, for example, when you get your voting ballot, you might see a presidential candidate or someone that's running for Congress that's running under a specific party, such as Democrat, Republican. This is basically the same thing, except you are coming up with your own name. And just to make an important note, you have to make sure that the name is appropriate and relevant, because the elections committee will be approving these names.
Thank you, Rima. So if you're interested in running, so how do you run? You can go to www.csun.edu/as/elections. So this is kind of what you would see, and you'll be able to see access the online filing packet. So you can click on that, and then the filing packet everything's going to be online and obviously remote due to the circumstances. And this is the filing format that should show up. So there's different sections. There's a welcome, candidate information, election calendar, clean campaign, press and social media agreement, and candidate agreements. So before moving on to next, processes of the election filing form, you have to make sure you not that you qualify, but make sure you check everything and make sure all the information is correct and accurate before clicking next. Because if you don't click something or input something, it won't let you move on to the next thing. But if you don't have time to finish it once you open it, you can click save right here. So when you click save, you can come back to it. And then afterwards, once you finish filing it, you can click submit, and the filing form should be going to my email address. So I would be getting all of the filing packets. So once again, you can go to csun.edu/as/elections, and that is where you'll be able to find the filing form. And you can find it under the candidate documents, and there's other important documents that I highly recommend for other candidates to go to and look at all the codes and everything would be under the candidate documents. But it's easier if you could just click here and go to the filing.
And now we go on to campaigning, a crucial part in running for elections. So due to the pandemic, all election campaigning will happen in a remote setting. And this is not limited to, but includes social media. And if you were on campus before the pandemic happened, you might have known that or seen like campaign materials of candidates running. We are not permitting any campaign materials to be on campus this election, simply because we are doing school in a remote setting. So that's why all campaigning will happen in a remote setting. And so applicants can campaign once they have attended the mandatory candidate orientation. And so the mandatory candidate orientation happens after filing closes. And in addition, the student has to be eligible. So if we find that the student is determined to be ineligible or has been disqualified from running, they cannot campaign upon notice from the chair of elections because of this disqualification. And another important note during campaigning is that the sitting AS president and vice president should not be allowed to endorse a candidate during the elections. Except if they rerun again, they can endorse themselves / their slate. And we are going to be going over important dates in the next slide of when the mandatory candidate orientation is.
So this is a video I'm about to play, and this video shows some former senators who ran and participated in Senate, and they're going to talk about their experience. So I'm going to play the video.
The reason I ran for an AS position is because I wanted to meet a lot of passionate advocate students just like myself.
I first ran after getting involved in the campus community, specifically in a protest movement to save our ethnic studies department.
I decided to apply for an associate student's position because I really wanted to give back to my campus community and just become more involved in the campus overall.
It helped me grow tremendously professionally and personally.
AS has actually done a lot for me. Biggest of all is experience. Like, I got to do this like semi-governmental thing, like, you know, be elected, fill a vacancy, vote on things.
I've not only met so many amazing student leaders and people in general, but I've also learned skills that I know are going to benefit me in my future career.
My biggest accomplishments within AS is first being elected as Senator for College of Engineering and Computer Science, as well as my initiative to run for chair of University Affairs.
So I was the primary author on a couple of things called resolutions, which are basically the official stance of the student government. I have managed a campaign. I have, been in an election myself twice. I've helped to hopefully improve AS internal transition processes.
During my time in Associated Students, I've been able to work to write things such as resolutions in support of Bill AB 1460, work on what's on the ballot events for our upcoming election to inform students about elections, and also just work with our representatives such as California State Senator Bob Hertzberg.
Why you should run for AS is because your work will value someone in the university, you will change their life somehow, whether it's one or it's 100 or 1,000.
Lean into your heart. Run if you care about, improving the life for students and representing them.
If you are interested in running an Associate Students office this spring, I highly recommend it. It has left a tremendous impact on my college experience, and I've really cherished the opportunity to work with so many amazing student leaders. Good luck, Matadors!
So hopefully that video was informative and showed kind of like a perspective from senators who ran in their election. They had amazing experiences, and I know they recommend a lot of students to, go for and run because you get a lot of great experiences out of it. So important dates. So these are just a few, but I highly recommend if you're going to be running, filing, and become a candidate, I highly recommend to go to the elections website. You can actually go under candidates orientation, or even under the filing form, you'll see all the important dates. I recommend to jot everything down and, or print it out, or you can save a PDF form onto your computer if you don't feel like printing it out as well. But it's important to have those dates set. So, you don't miss any important filing dates, or, like you don't miss your candidate bio due and all of those other really important dates as well. But the main important dates for right now is, so we're going to be having a Slate social, and that's going to be March 2nd at 5 p.m. And the Slate social is pretty much just kind of like socializing with other csun students who plan on running. And it's a great opportunity to meet other candidates. It's a great time to, add people to your slate if you already created one. And if you're an independent and you're still not sure if you want to be part of a slate or not, this is a great opportunity to just kind of see if there's any other slates, or if you meet another person and you feel like wanting to create your own slate during that time, that is possible. So I highly recommend it. It's March 2nd at 5 p.m. And then filing closes March 5th at 4 p.m. There's no do's or buts, or at 4 p.m. it closes, and afterwards you won't be able to file anymore. So if you haven't filed yet, I highly recommend, you can probably put this on your phone, kind of like an alarm, or like in your calendar, put that in your planner, put sticky notes all over your room. Remember that filing is due March 5th at 4 p.m. Nothing later than that. Unfortunately, we won't be accepting any more filings after that. And then the mandatory orientation. So for anyone who wants to run and will be running, to be able to campaign, you have to attend this orientation to make sure everyone knows the rules and the regulations and all of that. That would be March 8th at 5 p.m. That's a Monday. So, but if you can't make it, then you can send your campaign manager. So for example, I know some people have class during that time. So you're like, oh man, I can't attend. Well, your campaign manager will be able to attend in your place, and they'll be able to file or sign in for your name, and they'll be putting down all the candidates that are there that they're going to be representing. If they're going to be representing 4 people, then they have to write down each of those names. but that's important. Please attend the mandatory orientation, because if you don't, then you won't be able to campaign and unfortunately be disqualified from running. But you know, we get it, class and in life, but make sure someone is there. If not you, then your campaign manager. So another important date that everyone should note if you're going to be running for president or VP is that the debate will happen March 24th. I don't have an exact time for it, but we do plan on, you know, sending out a doodle poll in the time being to make sure everyone's able to be at the debate at a certain time. But March 24th is the date, and that's the only day we're going to have it. But if anything, for extreme like circumstances and we need to change it, we will change it. But March 24th will be the debate. Senators don't have to debate. It would only be for the president and vice president. And the most important dates of all is the elections. The elections is all online. So for example, the way it's going to be online is that all the ballots are going to be sent via email, and to all CSUN students on campus, anyone who are, you know, enrolled and have a CSUN email will be showing up in their CSUN email, and their ballots will be everything will be done online. So it starts on April 6th at 8 a.m. and then it closes at April 7th at 7 p.m. So after the elections is over, I'll be showing up to Instagram Live to reveal the results. But the elections is happening April 6th at 8 a.m. and it closes April 7th at 7 p.m. So any questions? I know Rima's able to see all the questions. So if you want to send in any questions, you can send it in the Q&A right here. It says Q&A, and you can submit your questions there.
So the first question, it's actually from the chat. I'm reading from the chat box. This is from Michael. He's asking, will the link be on the flyer for the mandatory orientation? And same with the Slate social.
What link?
I believe they mean Zoom link.
Oh, yes. So the graphics for the Slate social, the Zoom ID is already on the Slate social. So when that graphic gets released, you know, there'll be a Zoom ID and you just type that in onto Zoom. For the mandatory orientation, we will have a set link, and then I'll be emailing that to all of the candidates. So that'll be sent via email. Any more questions?
There are no questions so far.
Okay, no worries. Then if there's no questions, then we'll move on to the next slide.
Oh,
so
wait, we have one question.
Okay, perfect.
A question is, where can we access a recording of this?
Okay, yes. So we are recording it. Once it's recorded, we'll be uploading it onto the website. So I do plan on having it under the candidate documents, or there's sections of the website. It's going to be under candidate orientation documents, or it will be how to run. There's a box dedicated just to that. So we do plan on uploading this webinar onto the website.
We have another question. If someone is a first semester sophomore this semester, can they run as a lower division senator?
If they are a transfer student and they haven't accumulated a GPA at CSUN, unfortunately, or if they're, you know, if they're a sophomore, they could run if they have a cumulative GPA at CSUN. So they have to had a prior semester at CSUN. But if they haven't and they're just a transfer student, unfortunately, they can't be, because they have to have a cumulative GPA. Hopefully that made sense.
Are there any more questions?
And I'm sorry if I was looking down. The the webinar, it's weird. Zoom put everything on my corner of my screen, but I moved it. No more questions?
I do not believe so.
Okay, no worries. We'll move on. To the
Yeah,
next
I think we can move on.
Okay, perfect. All right, so where can you contact us? So the chair of elections email is just chairofelections@csun.edu.org, and then the assistant chair of elections is assistant chair of elections at csun.edu.org. And then you can also go to our website. So you can go to csun.edu/as/elections. And if you scroll all the way down, there is an elections question area. You can submit your name, last name, and your email address. And you can make comments or questions, and it'll be sent directly to my email address. And then after it gets sent to my email address, I'll reply there. But yeah, so you could just go on our website and everything is there. And that's it. Thank you so much for coming.
We have one more question.
Okay, perfect. No worries.
Are the vacant seats on the website updated?
From my understanding is that I'm not 100% sure if the current vacancies are correct. The best person you can ask is the chair of personnel. So it's probably just the same, chair of personnel at csun.as.org. You can send her name's Sammy, you can send her an email and ask if there's any Senate vacancies currently right now.
Are there any more questions before I call it?
If there's no more questions, I appreciate it. And if you have any more questions and are kind of, a little scared to ask, you can always email it to us. We'll be happy to respond there. But thank you for coming. I appreciate everyone's attendance here. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you.